Hey guys, this is Chris Miles with Money Ripples. You're listening to my good friend Kyle Stanley's podcast, The Fearless Investor. Keep listening to conquer the world of investing.
All right, guys, it is that time once again for the Chris Miles Money Minute. You're listening to me, Kyle Stanley, here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. We have Chris on once a month, the last Thursday of every single month. You can catch him here on the side segment, the Chris Miles Money Minute, where he's helping you to conquer the world of investing and think as an anti-financial advisor. And that's the one thing that we're talking about today is how to find the right financial professional or coach or person that's going to get you to your goals, which is contrary to most of what quote unquote financial advisors are. So Chris, first of all, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, such a pleasure, Kyle. Always.
All right. Awesome. So once again, the value that you bring here on the show once a month is just, guys, to me, like Chris is one of the best investors of our time. You got to be taking notes. You got to be listening, and you got to be taking advantage of the fact that you can book a call with him. fearlesskyle.com/Chris Miles. You can also see all the past episodes. But today we're talking about what I think could be some real gold for understanding the checklist that you need to figure out who's going to be the person to get you to your financial goals, who's going to be that coach, that path provider to that financial freedom. So Chris, what are some things that people should be looking for?
Yeah, this is something that, it doesn't even have to be talking about me, right? This could be anybody you're looking to bring into your life. Here's the first advice I'm going to give you, kind of as a bonus, right? You are the boss. You control your money. You should be the one that cares about your money more than anybody, right? So understand that no one should have the power over your money but you, right? But if you're going to have somebody help guide you in this process, somebody can help offer a different perspective to help you see things. This is the kind of checklist I would say, here's what I would go through to find out if this person is really right for you, if you're really hiring the right person. So number one, and this is going to eliminate a lot of them, is are they fee-based, right? Are they fee-based? Do they charge a fee, or are they just making money off the commissions? Because when I was that mainstream financial advisor, I remember like everything was commission-based. It was 100% commission. There was no fee that we charged. We could get a license to do that, but the standard in the office was just, you make commissions off what you sell. That's the problem, guys, because financial advice is like financial Mexican food, right? Like they just try to repurpose it and repackage it, but it's the same exact ingredients for every single thing. Right. Burritos, tacos, tostadas, fajitas.
They're all so good.
They are good. They can be yummy, right? But they still give you gas. So
it's true.
So beware of gassy advisors, right? So,
I can see that quote now. It's going to be on everyone's book. Beware of gassy advisors.
That's right. Yeah. So watch out for the commission base, because they're always going to advise what they sell, right? They're never going to tell you to buy something that they don't offer. So a fee based usually gives you a little bit better perspective, where they'll say, hey, you know what? I'm advising this. I'm not making commission off of it. Here's what I recommend. So fee based is usually a better way to go.
It allows them to be a lot less biased.
Yeah, exactly. They can still have bias, because you still want bias. You want somebody to have an opinion, but you don't want to have somebody to have an agenda, right?
Right.
That's
okay.
the key.
That's a good way to put it. Yep.
Yeah. Number two, they're independent advisors, or they're independent type of coaches, but they're not captive, right? Okay. So they're not the people that say, hey, I work for Fidelity, because what are Fidelity advisors going to offer?
Fidelity products.
Fidelity products, right?
Yeah.
Merrill Lynch can offer Merrill Lynch, so stay away from captive. Go with people that are more independent, where they don't have a company telling them this is the way to go, right? You got to be careful of that. So go more independent, someone who's more free to kind of roam the marketplace.
Okay.
Number three, and this is a hard one to find. They favor alternative investments, just like what you talk about, Kyle, right? Like when we're talking about doing real estate. It's so hard to find an advisor that doesn't poo-poo all over real estate, right? They're like, oh, real estate's risky. Remember 2008, it was horrible, and they'll bring all that stuff up. Of course, they'll fail to mention that 2000 and 2010 was a horrible time in the stock market too, right? But then they focus on, 2009 through 2021. They're like, well, look at it. The market's only gone up. It's perfect, right. Don't go for that crappy real estate stuff, and the truth is that real estate's way outperformed anything in the stock market, especially when you do it like the way we talk about on this show, right? So have them be open to alternatives. It may not just be real estate. It might be hard money lending, right? Which could be real estate involved too. It could be in oil and gas. They might have other things. And when I say real estate, I don't mean they say you should buy a REIT, right? Because
Right.
that's not real estate.
Right.
That's just a fund that masquerades as being real estate, but it's really not.
Yeah, you own
I
a
just
piece
had
of
somebody
paper.
last week say their REIT was paying squat, and so they actually sold off the REITs to go buy real estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
REIT is a piece of paper. Real estate is an actual piece of land.
that's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, those people that favor alternatives because they know that mutual funds won't do the trick, right? Because they won't. They'll never make enough to get you retirement or financial freedom. Number 4, they're cash flow focused, or income focused, right? You want someone that's actually looking at this and saying, hey, this is not just about growing it. Because every financial advisor says, well, look what it's going to be like in 30, 40, 50 years. Well, what about right now? What can it create for me today? Because I may not be alive in 30 or 40 years. Can it actually benefit my life now? And you'll notice that so many advisors, they don't talk about the here and now. They talk about investing now for a someday result that may never come, right? And the likelihood is by the time you find out if the advice worked or not, they're already either dead or retired, and you can't hold their feet to the fire, right?
Yeah.
So are they income focused? Does it actually generate real income? That cash flow. That was my big mind blower when I left the financial industry. Was real estate investors didn't look at like what's the rate of return as much as they did of what kind of passive income does it create for me? What can I actually get from this? Because that affects my here and now, right?
Absolutely.
Totally different focus.
Absolutely. I think one thing I want to throw in here, Chris, is anytime I look at someone that's going to be my coach, I just always assume that coach is going to, wherever they're at, my capability of getting to where they're at is probably about 10 to 20% lower. They're going to give away all of the details, but because of the way their mind works, I'm never going to be 100% Chris Miles. So I need to know if this person is retired at 50 years old and they're saying they can get me to retirement at 55 or 60, I probably believe them. But if they tell me, hey, I'm 70 years old and still a financial advisor, and I'm going to get you to retirement at 40 years old, how can I really trust that? Because they're not even retired. And I can probably only do about 80 to 90% of what they can actually do because I can't fully become that person's mind. So that's just adding to your point here. Like you retired twice before the age of 30 or 35 or something like that.
39.
Yeah. So like guys, most of you want to retire by the age of, you're saying like 50. Well, Chris did it twice before the age of 39. So there you go. That could be a great coach to follow because you're going to be right there keeping the same pace or just a little bit behind. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Keep going.
You actually just segued into my 5th point, right?
Oh, cool.
Are they financially independent?
Yeah, there we go.
That was the thing that rocked me out of that world, right? Because when my friend in real estate said, well, how many of you guys are financially free, not off the commissions, but actually doing the investments yourself with the mutual funds? I'm like, well, none. Even the guys that have been working since the late 70s, and them neither. They've been working this for like 40 years. I'm like, he's like, there's your problem. And you're absolutely right. Like, are they actually creating the life that they talk about, right? Or is it just all theoretical? And really, I would even border to say financial advice is like a conspiracy theory that is just a theory. It's not law. It doesn't work, right? So you're totally right. You should have somebody that actually has lived it. Now, I know that a lot of financial advisors won't be in that place, but if they aren't already pretty close to that point, then how do you know it really works? Or if their clients aren't getting there too, without being 75, 80 years old, right? Then it's got to be something different. So totally agree. They got to be financially independent, which eliminates just about all of them.
Absolutely. Right. It really does.
Two more I have here. One, they're defensive in some of their strategies too, right? They have not just a good offense, but they have a good defense. Do they have experience? Do they go through the last few recessions, right? It drives me nuts when I find financial advisors that have been around for 10, 11 years or so. They say, hey, I've been around for a decade, but they've never known the market to go anywhere but up, right? So to them, the down market was all the past. It was theory. It was pre them being advisors. So what do? They start advising you as if the market will always go up. Well, what if it goes down? How are they going to protect you, right? And they don't. By the way, they're just guessing, just like everybody else. They're just guessing what's going to happen. So make sure they've got a good defense, like they've got some wisdom behind what they're teaching, right?
That's good. I think the one thing I would like to know is how can you tell, because it sounds like you want more offense and a little bit of defense. What's a good way to be able to tell that there's a good ratio there between their offense and defense?
Ask questions. I mean, you can hear it in their words, right? If they're like always talking about everything's going up, sky, pie in the sky, all that kind of stuff, right? If they say that to be diversified, you should just be diversified among paper assets, like they're telling you to buy stocks and bonds, right? Or like, well, that's all the same stuff. It's not really diversification. Like, are you diversifying into real estate, or are you diversifying into commodities like gold, silver, oil? You're diversifying into businesses, things of that nature, right? Where there's other asset classes, rather than saying the same little asset class, but you just, spreading out by buying a bunch of little stuff in case, you bet on black and some of it hits red, like
Yeah.
that's just ridiculous, So you want someone who's saying, hey, I've been through some of this stuff. Heck, even a real estate investor. Hey, I've been through the hard times. Like I've had some failures. This is what I learned to gain some more wisdom from that. Like
Right.
that, those are the people you want to have.
Cool.
And
Okay.
that really segues in the last point, right? Which is you have an experienced and a team full of integrity, right? Like they've got people surrounding them. That's not just them. Do they have good CPAs on their team? Do they have good attorneys? Do they have, do they have investment professionals? There are other people there that you could say, hey, I don't have the answer, but here's somebody who does, and they
Right.
can kind of pass that off. Like when I look for, deal operators, you want to make sure if I'm investing my own money, I don't want to be the guinea pig, right? I want to make sure that they've been there, done that, and they're still doing their investments today. And it's so boring, it's sexy,
Yeah.
like that's the stuff that's sexy to me, is the boring investments they've done day in and day out, and that's the same thing with a team. You want a team that's got the good experience. They're full of integrity. Like they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And when you got that, oh man, you can be unstoppable in the wealth you can create in your own life.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, let's recap these 7 things. They're fee-based rather than commission-based. They're financially independent. Or wait, sorry, they're an independent. They're not tied
Right.
to a
Like a
company.
broker.
Yep. They favor alternative investments. They're cash flow focused. Number 5, they are financially independent. 6, defensive in some strategies. And number 7, they have a team of integrity. If they don't have the answers, they can pass it off to someone else. So that is, to me, 7 amazing pieces of advice, and I would be writing that down. And I would also be checking out, guys, how to get connected with Chris here. Again, fearlesskyle.com/Chris Miles. You can go ahead and connect with him, get on the books with him to get a financial plan as well. Now, Chris, you also do some financial coaching. We don't always talk about that, but I would like to know, obviously, if I'm looking and trying to identify some of these 7 attributes, and I want to look at someone like Chris Miles as my financial coach, what would that look like?
Yeah. I mean, we have a conversation about it. I mean, if you've got at least 100, 200,000 or more, like either sitting in cash or in markets, you're like, maybe I should get it out. Again, I can't give financial advice in the sense of telling you to invest here and there. But if you're looking for guidance to say, what's available to me? What can I do? How can I strategize this to make it work? Right. That's the kind of stuff that I do, And so, yeah, if you're in that situation, you got at least 100, 200 grand, you got equity in your home or something like that. There's some great stuff. I just had a lady just the other day we talked to, where she had been talking to 3 other financial professionals. They all said kind of the same stuff, but her neighbor who had worked with me says, talk to Chris. And instead of looking at the typical mutual funds, bonds, and annuities, I said, hey, maybe we look at buying real estate. Maybe you look at this fund or whatever it might be, and and see what you can do. And it was a very different angle that it comes by. So if you're not into that kind of stuff, don't reach out. Like if you're like, I think the stock market's the best thing since sliced bread, I'm only gonna put all my money in Bitcoin, I'm not your guy, right? Like I'm gonna be the person saying, here's how we create passive income now.
Yep, absolutely. Cash flow is key. All right, man. Well, hey, again, first step, if you are interested in going and connecting with Chris, fearlesskyle.com/Chris Miles, and you can get an appointment set up with him. Chris, thank you so much once again for being our show this month. The side segment, Chris Miles Money Minute, and helping us to conquer the world of investing.